Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads, and I am going to be doing a Rory Gilmore inspired reading vlog this week, and I thought the best way to decide what I'm going to read, because who knows, who knows what I'm going to read, is to get my laptop and go to the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge website, see what I've read, see what I have access to, go from there. So I have gone through the quiz. I don't know if I'm going to attach the footage of me doing the quiz because it's mainly just me going, oh, nope, nope, oh, and then lamenting the fact that I feel like I'm not very well read because I haven't read a whole bunch of books that a fictional character has read. So maybe I won't add that. I'll just give you my total, which is 49 books out of 339. I own one book on Rory's list that I haven't read yet. I'm going to read that, which is The Song Reader by Lisa Tucker. This is about a woman who can basically predict the future / tell you something about yourself based on whichever song is stuck in your head, and that sounds very interesting. And I only have one, so I had a little look to see what other books are on Rory's list that I A, want to read, B, can get access to, because I don't want to go and buy a book just for a reading challenge if it's a book that I don't know if I'm gonna love. So I want to read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and that has been a book I've kind of been umming and eyeing about getting for quite some time. It's gloriously gothic and I keep having friends tell me they think I'm gonna love it and being surprised I've not read it, so I'm taking that as my sign. I can get a copy of this from the library, so that is my plan. I'm going to read this, and when I'm in town next I am going to pick up a copy. I could order it and get it sent to my nearest library, but that can take a few days and I'm just going to be in town before then, so I'm not in a big rush. I'm also going to try and do some fun, cozy Gilmore Girls inspired activities, even if that's just chilling with a movie night. I'm going to just go full autumnal and embrace it. Bring you along with me. Hopefully we have a good time. And if I read these 2 books, that will bring up my total on the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge to 51, which is apparently the average. I mean, a good part of me is thinking, why do I not just read the giant Shakespeare collection I have? Because that'll give me like 10 more. Maybe that's something for another time. Not now. I don't want to read Shakespeare right now. Have you seen my October TBR? It's massive, and I'm just adding 2 more books to it. I'll be back in a bit. I have made the tiniest bit of progress in the Song Reader. I am a couple of chapters in and I'm only page 37. I have feelings about this book. I'm not loving it. The book focuses on, well, 2 sisters. So far, I really don't like one of them. We have the younger sister, Leanne. She is the more responsible of the sisters, not through choice, but kind of through having everything just thrown on her. Her older sister, Mary Beth, is her guardian. They're, for all intents and purposes, they're orphans. Their mother has passed away. Their father is who knows where. He's kind of ran off. And so that Leanne doesn't go into the care system, Mary Beth takes over as her guardian. But she doesn't really embody the character of a guardian. It's more Leanne looking after her. There is quite an age gap of about 12 years and Leanne is quite young. Like Leanne is, we've dipped about in time periods a wee bit, but Leanne has never been older than 15 at any point in this book so far, and she is the one who is having to look after the everything. Really, Mary Beth is a, suppose you could probably look at her as like a free spirit, She can tell people's sort of futures, if you will, through songs, like songs that mean things to them, songs that they can't get out of their heads. And she gets her clients to, write a list of all of the songs, and she'll convert that into, information that can help them make sense of their lives. So far, I'm not loving the writing style. The book is very, very dated, and this book is not too old. It's from 2003, so I suppose 22 years. I feel like I am dust. But it's set in the 80s, and it feels like it was written then as well. Some of the terminology is definitely not aged well. I don't know. I'm not feeling like I want to keep reading it, but I'll give it another try. I'll read a few more chapters, see how I get on. Maybe I'll get sucked in. And other than that, I have nothing really to report. I've not read a whole bunch of this, but I did go on my university walk, which is something I wanted to do while I was reading books that felt like Rory Gilmore would do. She would walk in Yale campus. Why would she not? So I went for a walk at the University of Aberdeen, and it was so pretty. It was so autumnal. I sat and I had a coffee. There's a little coffee shop called Killow Coffee. I went there in summer and we sat in, and I got this beautiful crepe that had an egg on it, and I'm still thinking about that crepe. It's been like 3 months. I should move on with my life, but it was delicious. So I went there and I just got coffee, and I sat and I just read. I read some of my book, but mainly I people watched because that's really fun to do, and watched some birds, drank my coffee, got some fresh air. Delightful. I will be back with updates. Hopefully I'm gonna get more into this as I go. I will be back in a bit. It is Friday night and I am going out. Like, not out, but I'm going out of the house. I am going to what feels like the most Stars Holloway of events. I am going out to go to a crafting night with a couple of my friends. One of our favourite cafes that we go to pretty regularly is having a kind of late night craft night. Basically, bring your own crafts and they will make drinks and they will have cake. And I'm very excited about it. It's going to be wholesome and charming and lovely, and I'm going to get to see my friends. And I've got my craft bag, so I thought I would show you what I'm going to be making, and hopefully it will happen. The plan is that I'm making socks. I said I wanted to make a pair of socks in autumn, and I want to make this pair, bat socks. I do not have either of these yarns, so I'm going with what I have, and I've got a vision. I just don't know if it's gonna work. My pattern is from this book, Charming Colourwork Socks. I've made a couple of patterns from this book. I really like it. So my vision is I'm gonna use this. This is gorgeous. This is Halloween. You can say it's not, but I won't believe you. This is Halloween yarn. This is gonna be my base, and then I'm gonna have my bats in orange. I don't know if that'll contrast enough. I may have to then, I may get a dark purple. That might work better. I'll pack a dark purple and we'll see. And then for the toes, I've got this little bit of gorgeous lilac, it's not even just lilac, it's variegated. And it's so pretty, but I don't have enough to really use it for a big pattern. So I thought toes and heels, might just be toes, might just be heels. I'll find out. So these bits of yarn are going to become a pair of socks. Will that pair be finished before the end of autumn, as was my goal? I don't know. But what I do know is I'm going to go out and have a very charming evening, and I'm probably not going to read any of my book, but I will read it tomorrow. And it still counts. We'll get that book done. I just wanted to give a little update. I went to craft night and it was as charming as you would imagine if you have imagined a craft night. Let me set the scene. Delightful, cozy cafe that has a crafting menu. That's how you know you're in a good place. I met two of my friends. We had some coffee. I got a turmeric latte, which I love. I usually get espresso or plain black coffee, but it was 7 p.m. I feel like maybe I shouldn't be having black coffee or espresso at 7 p.m. So I had a turmeric latte, which I'm fairly certain had coffee in it. But it had turmeric, and that's anti-inflammatory, so maybe it's sleep inducing. I don't know. It was delicious. It felt like a hug in liquid form. And then I just crafted, caught up with some friends. It was just, I really feel like my cup has been filled. It was delightful. I'm definitely going to go to the next one. I think it's a monthly thing. So we've already got our table booked for the next one. And I'm really looking forward to it. That's my good news. I didn't start this by saying there was good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. I'm going to give up on the book reader. I made it a little bit further. I've now doubled the amount that I had previously read. I'm still not. I don't care. It sounds so harsh. I'm not enjoying it. I don't know if that's just me right now. I don't know if this is a hard DNF. Maybe I'll come back and revisit this book another time. I don't feel I can really include. Can I include 70 pages of a book? I mean, I can. I've told you about it, but I'm not counting it as a book read because it's not a book read. It's a book partially read with a promise to maybe come back to it or maybe set it free and give it to the charity shop. One of those things will happen. I am going to be picking up my copy of Rebecca later. It's at the library. They have one copy. I'm going to go get it. And then hopefully, please, hopefully, I'm going to have a good time with it. I will be so sad if I have two duffers in this video. I don't want that. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. Good times. That's the goal. I have secured the goods. I got my copy of Rebecca from the library. My plan was I was going to go to the library. I knew they had one in stock. I know where the classic section is. I toddled over there. Every other Daphne du Maurier book was in that section, apart from this. So I had to ask. I did, before asking, just need to let you know. I checked every other section just in case it had been wildly categorised. But the librarian had to go to the basement, which in my mind is haunted. Nobody's ever told me the library is haunted, but it's an old building. I've decided it is. And she had to go and get this copy for me. So very grateful, but also felt so bad at the librarian having to just go and have a rummage. But I got it and I've already made a wee bit of progress. I am currently about 134 pages in, chapter 11. I had no idea what this book was about when I decided I was going to read it. Other than the barest of bones, I knew that it was a story about a woman who marries a man who has a deceased wife and has a grand manor home, and the home is unwelcoming, I suppose, and that the housekeeper is intense. That's kind of what the book is about, I suppose, but it's more than that, which is quite good because I wasn't too sure. I wasn't too sure why so many people had told me that they just assumed I'd read and loved this book. I'm 134 pages in, and I can see why they think I would love it, because I'm loving it so far. We follow a currently unnamed protagonist. She is a young woman. She was working in Monte Carlo as a sort of companion for a crotchety older woman, and she meets a man called Mr. De Winter, Maxim, which is a wonderful name. Bring that back. People should be called Maxim more often. I'm sure there are loads of people that are still called Maxim. I just haven't met any of them. And I was going to say they fall in love, but I don't know if they fall in love in a way that belongs in a different age. Because while they do go on these little day trips together and they seem to get on quite well, I was kind of surprised when he suddenly proposed marriage. But I assume different times, different things. And they get married and she goes with him to Manderley, which I knew about Manderley, I just didn't realise it was from Rebecca. And they go to this grand manor home and the housekeeper really is intense, super intense. Everything's always, oh, Rebecca liked this. I found out Rebecca is not the main character. Rebecca is the deceased wife. Everybody loved her and she was the best at everything. And so the main character is kind of feeling haunted by Maxim's first wife, because how obviously she's gonna compare herself. She's much younger. She feels out of her depths. She's jumped up a few sort of stages in society and she is feeling out of her depths. She can't help but compare herself to the perfect Rebecca and she feels she is falling short. The housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, is kind of terrifying. She is scary. She is everywhere all at once. She knows everything. And yeah, she's really, really creepy. I'm loving the atmospheric vibes that I'm getting from this and I'm really enjoying the writing. And we have a storm brewing. You wouldn't know because the weather's really nice today, but there is a storm ahoy, Storm Amy, and I feel this book is going to be perfect to read when the weather gets a bit dreary. But I am enjoying it so far. I'm having a great time and I'm so happy that unless something horrific happens in the next 300 pages, I'm not going to be having 2 DNFs in this video. Like, knock on all of the wood, because I don't want that. I think that would be such a bad time for me and I don't think that would be a fun video. I've got 300 pages to go. I'm excited. I will be back when I have finished it or if I really need to tell you about something in the middle of it, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't know. We'll see. I will be back at some unnamed point. I have had the most cozy last few days. I made apple compote. Is it actually apple compote? I don't know. I didn't follow a recipe. I just threw some apples. I will tell you exactly what I did. I got a pan. I put a little bit of butter in the pan because butter makes everything delicious. And then I put in a whole bag of chopped apples. Covered them in the butter. Then I added like a little bit of sugar, like a tablespoon, and some vanilla paste, because I had vanilla paste, some cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, some very, very out of date ginger, because my spice cupboard sometimes has out of date herbs and spices in it. And then I added like 60-ish mils of water. And then I just let that simmer away on like the lowest heat for 20 or so minutes. I did a face mask, I changed the bed, I did some laundry. I was productive. And then I had my seasonal apple spiced compote. Delicious. I put it on some soy yogurt and some granola because I saw that my favourite cafe has updated their menu and they now have yogurt, compote and granola. And I thought that sounds majestic. But storm, I don't want to go outside. So I stayed inside and I made it myself. I will try it in the cafe as well because I'm going to be finishing this compote pretty quickly. I also put a tiny little of salt because it brings everything out, brings everything together. amazing. The best recipes always just don't have a recipe. Anyway, onto the book. I have now finished reading Rebecca, and to everybody who's told me that I would love this book, congratulations. How does it feel to be right? Because I love this book. I feel like I'm an absolute idiot for just not picking it up before now. I honestly just didn't really know what it was about, and I don't know. It just never was a book that I longed to pick up until I was going through the Rory Gilmore Reading List and remembered recently people have said I would love this. Sometimes people are right. I am reluctant to give any spoilers because I know this book is 90 years old or so, but I'm not the only person who's never read this very popular book, and I don't want to spoil it because there are 3 very large events that happen sort of from the middle onwards, and the pacing just this is me saying it speeds up. Like, just out of control. This is amazing. The pacing for the first half is very sort of dreamlike, very luring you in, but the atmosphere is very tense. There is a sense, an undercurrent of danger, of just, hey, be aware, because it feels like something's coming. It feels like we are building up to something, and build we do, because I could not have foreseen the big events in this book happening. Apart from one. There was one that I was like, don't trust that person. Don't trust them. And I was right. But other than that, I didn't see anything coming. Before reading this, I think I was just kind of expecting it to be rich people problems. And I kind of like it. There were rich people with problems, but they were being haunted by the past. This took a great look into relationships and obligation, like societal obligations. It was exciting and it was thrilling. I loved the characters, even though we don't get a name for the main character, which I think is important because she only ever sees herself as an extension of her husband, a replacement for Rebecca. She never sees herself as Jane, as Janet, as whatever her name is. She is only ever identified as being a person of this. And I like that because I think that really made me think. I love the way that Rebecca was never in the book, but the book was entirely almost about her and her impact on people and her legacy and the sort of, secrets that she hid and the way that she was sort of having the last laugh from beyond the grave. She was so clever, so cunning. And I just found myself gripped. I didn't come back to give any little partial updates because I didn't want to put the book down. I read the last 300 pages in 2 sittings. Yeah, 2 sittings. Because I didn't want to put it down. So I didn't, apart from when I had to sleep, because sleep is important. The ending of this book I felt was incredibly abrupt. It came from nowhere, but I think that really works because we have so much happening in the book and it's all leading up to these things, and then the things happen and everyone's like, what on earth? And then it's just like 1 sentence ending. Done. I think it was perfect. An epilogue would have been magnificent, but we start the book with a scene from after the end. and then the characters looking back on things. I really loved this book. I had such a great time. I am giving this 5 stars. There was a moment where I thought, oh, is it a 4.5? Because the heart measures the 5 stars, not the head. For me anyway. My brain's completely left out with a 5-star rating decision. But my heart is telling me this is 5 stars. So 5 stars it is. And that is another book ticked from the Rory Gilmore Reading List, which brings me still 1 away from the average because I was 2 and then I had a DNF. It's a soft DNF. I might go back to it. I just don't feel like it right now. And why are you going to force yourself to read a book? If it's just not jiving with you, then maybe I put it down. I'd love to know if you have read this book, and if so, did you love it? Let me know if you didn't like it. I loved it. And thank you so much for watching.